Good evening, Agile acquisition enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of Agile Acquisitions. One question that I get asked all the time is what's the best way to do estimating for acquisitions that are going to be done in an iterative or agile fashion? And the good answer is it's pretty easy. And the better answer is there's a resource for you available on the TechFAR Hub, techfarhub.cio.gov. I'll put a link for it down in the description of the video. And basically, you go to this go to this website, which I'm going to bring up now, and it'll take you to this page underneath the custom tools. And here's a great description on how to go through building out your independent government cost estimate, which is an essential part of the requirements package, something that every requirements package is going to include. So when you're thinking about building your government cost estimate, it really doesn't matter if you're intending to do a fixed price per iteration, or even a time and material contract. You're going to go about building your estimate in the same way. Now, this particular example that's laid out on the TechFAR Hub says it's for firm fixed price or fixed price iteration, but it really doesn't matter. The basis of the estimate is still going to be built upon the assumption of the basis of labor. The difference between the time and material and the fixed price approach from a contract structure is how flexible the payments are to the vendor. So time and material, the vendor will get paid for a best effort towards the effort, and a firm fixed price means they get paid the price that was negotiated so long as they successfully deliver, even if it costs them more or less money or time than they anticipated. So let's go ahead and dive into this reference here. So when we're talking about pricing per iteration, again, doesn't matter how your contract structure, this is still how you're going to build your estimate. You want to determine some different criteria about what your iteration is going to be. Because this is an independent government cost estimate, it's your best estimate, not the contractor. So the vendor may say they're going to do 3-week iterations, but for the basis of your estimate, you might have done 2. That doesn't really matter. Ultimately, it'll be the sum total of all of them for a consistent period of performance that you'll want to align those two. So some of the things that you're going to want to go ahead and consider when building your government cost estimate are the size of your team. Industry standard typically suggests that a team should be between 6 to 12 people. Any more than 12 people, it tends to get a little too big to manage as an agile iteration. If you need more than 12 people, however, that gets you into the next criteria, and that's the number of teams. Just because you're doing one program doesn't mean there wouldn't be more than one team working on it. And what's fairly common is to have an overarching program with a number of product lines underneath it, in which case you might have one team focused on a particular line of effort and another team focused on another one. If you do have that, the government's going to want to remember to have at least one product owner overseeing both, or better, multiple product owners, one for each, and potentially a product manager managing them so that they have a cohesive delivery. Back to the estimate. You also want to consider what types of iterations you're going to be doing. What is it that they're actually focusing on? Is a design iteration going to be structured differently than a development iteration? For simplicity's sake, in this case, in this scenario that we're going to walk through today, we'll keep it very straightforward and say this is a cross-functional team, and the team can handle both design-focused sprints as well as development-focused sprints. And that's a more common practice in the industry anyway. Then you want to understand how many total weeks of iteration you're going to have. So what is your total periods of performance? 52 weeks in a year. So 2-week sprints, you just do the math and divide it out. Then again, how long is your total period of performance? Are you going to do a 6-month contract, 12-month contract? Are you going to have 6-month base with 6-month options? So you want to make decisions on how you're going to structure your overall period of performance. And then finally, are you going to add incentives? There's incentive fees, there's award fees, and then there's award term. And those are all options that you can use. Again, for simplicity's sake today, we're not going to add any incentive or award fee. We're just going to go straight for how much does it cost to get the delivery. So we scroll down here a little bit and we look at the team planning. Who's going to be part of the team? Are you going to have engineers? Are you going to have front end versus back end engineers? You're probably going to have a scrum master. Hopefully you're going to have a designer on the team. So you want to understand how that team's built up, and you want to understand what is a good average rate for those sort of labor categories. The level of the labor category will greatly determine the actual rate. So it could be significantly different for a very low level engineer versus a very senior level engineer. There's a great calc tool that GSA has that can help you look up those different labor categories with descriptions and also with the sort of average rate with a standard deviation. So here we have an example that's already filled out on the web page itself. And so you can take a look at that and give you a sense, but we're gonna actually dive right into the worksheet itself. And I'm gonna build one right in front of you so you can see how super easy it is and kind of give a little more context about what I'm thinking about when I fill it out. So you click on this, it's gonna download. I've already done that to save time. So here we go, this is what it looks like. Um, Not the prettiest thing in the world, and I can say that because I built this a long time ago, but it's still there and it's still useful or functional. So we have some kind of governing facts up above. What are the Agile factors? These are the items we just talked about. So hopefully in your planning, you've already started to answer some of these questions. But even if you haven't, as you go through the spreadsheet and start filling it out, and it auto-populates on the right-hand side over here, this is a good reference to go back to and figure out, okay, what do they mean when they say size of team? So for this simple example, we're gonna say we have an average team. We've got, we're gonna say 7 people on the team, and we're just gonna go with one team, just to make it real simple. If I would have said 2, and I'll show you that later, it'll just double. Types of iteration, we're gonna say development. Down under weeks per iteration, we're going to say each iteration is 2 weeks, which is, again, kind of an industry standard, but oftentimes in the government, it'll be 3 or 4 weeks. And that's to account for some of the more challenging government review processes and cycles. So you build in a little extra time for that. Period of performance, we're going to say 6 months. And then for fee percentage, we said we're going to say 0. So as I mentioned before, there is a calc tool that you can use to look up rates. In the interest of time here, I'm not going to look up rates. I'm just going to make up rates, but we're going to start building our team. So we know we have 7 people. We're going to have a Scrum Master. We're going to have an engineer. We're going to have a designer. We're going to have a program manager. We're going to do a security specialist. I need 2 more, so we're going to go with a front-end engineer and a back-end engineer. And we'll just call that one a generalist. So for hourly rate, again, to make it simple, I'm just going to type in some numbers. Don't worry about them. We would look these up if we were really going to do this. Back-end engineers, really expensive. And then hours for iteration, so if we're doing 2 weeks, if they were full-time, it'd be 80 hours. We're just going to make up some numbers. So we're going to say Scrum Master is 80 hours. We're going to say the rest of these are 80. We're going to say the designer is 60. Program manager, we're going to say is 20. And front-end engineer is 80. And back-end engineer is 80. And you can see all of these auto-calculated into the price column. And this is our total program. So again, the period of performance could be adjusted, all that, but all of this calculated over here. So we now have our cost for our total iterations, which is 12, and our team price. So this is what it costs per iteration and our total price. So our independent government cost estimate is $645,000 and 600, but maybe we made a mistake and we actually want to duplicate it. We want 2, and it just doubles the price. Maybe it's actually 12 months. And again, just doubles the price from there. So really simple and straightforward. Again, it doesn't matter if you're doing this for time material or firm fixed price or fixed price per iteration, because at the end of the day, what you want to line up is how does the total price line up? So if they broke it up differently, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, it really doesn't matter. This is just giving the government an opportunity to assess and budget and plan what this program should cost. And then if the contractor's price comes in different, it doesn't mean they're wrong or you're wrong. It just means they probably made some assumptions that you didn't, and that's part of the negotiations, and that's part of the fun. So there you have it. That's how to do government cost estimates for Agile programs. I hope you found this useful. If you did, remember to give a thumbs up, a like, comments. Feel free to ask questions and follow up. And remember, keep pushing forward for change, and you're part of the solution. So good luck and have a great day. Cheers.